Greetings folks, Dice Kitty here. Today we're doing a review of the components for Pandemic, and this game is from Z-Man Games. It's a pretty fun cooperative game. So we're gonna take a look at all the stuff that you get in the box. Well, first off, you have a huge board that comes with it. You've got a place over here for your outbreak tracker. You have, which I'll show you all these components later. You've got your infection rate tracker right here, which also has a little token. You have your infection deck, and the discard pile is here. You have your player deck, and the player discard pile is here. You also have a reminder down here in the bottom that tells you the turn order for playing the game, which is definitely handy. And I like that it's simple enough that they can put it on the board. So, and as you can see, there's the entire world is on here. There are key cities highlighted across the entire globe, and different ones are different colors. That's for these 4 different diseases down here, and you'll have little cure markers that you put down here. When you cure a disease, you move it up and cover the little disease up, and when you eradicate it, which is where you've cured it and there are no more of that color cube on the board, you flip it over and it's got like a little circle with a line through it. Like I said, I'll show you all that stuff later. But there's a lot going on the board, so if you don't know what you're doing with it, it looks kind of intimidating, but it's really not complicated. So, but that's the board, and it is your standard board. I mean, it's not like made out of anything extra durable, I don't guess. The edges are wrapped nicely though. It seems to be well made. It feels like it would hold up over time, which is good. Alright, so components, that's what I was talking about. The little cure markers, there are 4 of them. You've got a red one, and a blue one, and a yellow one, and a black one. Now, they look like little medicine vials, and they are made out of plastic. They are not wood, they're not cardboard, so these will definitely hold up over time. And if you look on the back side of them, this is what I was talking about before, it has a little circle with a line through it. Now, these start off on the board, like I was saying before, they start off just on the little shadowed symbols here, and then as you cure a disease, you move it up over the disease, and when you eradicate it, which means all the colored cubes are gone, you flip it over. And that matters because if a disease is eradicated and you draw a card for that city, they don't get any more tokens because the disease is non-existent. So now the goal of the game is not to eradicate, it is to cure. If you cure all 4, you're good. That's all you need to do. Alright, so those are the little cure markers and where they go on the board. And then we've got the outbreak marker, and it's got like little arrows on it, I guess, to symbol an outbreak. The way this works is if there are 3 cubes on a city, for instance, let's just say there were 3 cubes on Buenos Aires and we pulled the Buenos Aires card in the infection deck, then all the cities that are connected to Buenos Aires would get cubes instead of Buenos Aires getting them because it's already got 3. Now when an outbreak happens, your tracker moves up. So if this tracker gets all the way down to the skull, you lose the game. Alright, so there is what's called the infection rate marker, and that goes right here. Now you start off, whenever you have to draw from this deck, you draw however many cards are listed here. So anytime you would have to move the infection rate marker, you move it along this track here. Depending on the difficulty of game that you're playing will determine how far it gets up the tracker. So That's where that piece goes. And let's see. These here are research stations. They're solid white, not cubes, but they look, kind of remind me of like the houses from Monopoly. And you only get so many of them, and once they're all placed, you can't get any more. Those help you cure the diseases in the game, and you can pretty much put them on any city you want as long as you've got the right cards to do it. Your player character markers, they look like little pawns, and there's a color, each one's a different color, and they go with these. Each person gets to play a role, and this is the role deck. You usually get a random role, so you know, one game you might be the medic, and so you would get the little orange pawn that goes with it, and that represents your character on the board. The next game you might get the dispatcher. So the only issue that I have with the little pawns is that there is no way to identify or distinguish the different colors. So for colorblind people, this could be a little bit more difficult to deal with. And also, just a minor gripe, the researcher is brown. The pawn looks gray to me. I wish they would have done a darker brown or made the researcher gray, but it's not that big a deal. There's no other token or character that looks like that, so it's obviously the researcher. Alright, so that's it for most of the regular components other than the disease cubes. They're just tiny translucent cubes. There's yellow, red, blue, and black. Or smoke, but it's black. So those are the cubes that get placed on the cities when you draw the city card from the infection deck. The infection deck looks like this. And in the infection deck, the cities, when you draw them, have the name and a color, and it corresponds with the color of the city actually on the map. Let me see if I can find Delhi real quick here since it's right there. See, Delhi is black. So if this card is drawn from the infection deck, you put a black cube here. And like I said before, if there are already 3 cubes there, you can trigger an outbreak. Now, if you trigger an outbreak and the outbreak spreads to a city where there's already 3 cubes, there's another outbreak. So yes, you can chain outbreaks. That's not exciting. We've done that. Alright, so you've got the infection deck. There's also a player deck. This is how the players move around the board and interact with things. Move quickly. And how they interact with the research stations. One of your actions is you can discard a city card and put the research station there if you're already in the city. Now, in the player deck, you're going to find a couple of cards. There's not many of them, but they look like this. Now, these are event cards, and you can play most of them at any time, and it doesn't take an action to do so. And they all give you a different ability. So, there's not a ton of those. But also, you'll notice these cards look like player cards. They are not. This is what determines the difficulty level of the game. Most games start off with just 4 of these, but if you want to make it harder, you add more. And every time you draw one of these, you increase the infection rate. So you move that little circular marker up 1. So that means you could potentially end up drawing more infection cards for the cities. Then you infect cities. You draw from the bottom card from the infection deck, and you put 3 cubes on that city. And then that card goes to the discard pile. Then you intensify. So you shuffle the cards in the infection discard pile and put them back on top of the infection deck. So there's a chance for lots of outbreaks. Well, that's kind of a rundown real quick of the components and how some of the gameplay works. Now for the actual gameplay, I almost forgot. The most important thing, the thing I love the most in this, player aid cards. these actually have the actions that players can take. This is super handy. We use these a ton when we play. So that helps us to remember, okay, if we want to build a research station, we discard the city card that matches the city you're in and you place a research station there. Okay, that's how we do it. Now, your characters could have abilities that do things a little different than your basic actions, but that's more advanced play. That's how to play stuff. And in these videos, we don't go over how to play, just reviewing components and reviewing gameplay. So gameplay for this is real simple. That's what we're getting into now. Down here on the bottom of the board tells you how a turn goes. So the first thing you do is you do 4 actions. So you look at your action card, your player aid card, decide what actions you want to do, and you do them. So if I wanted to move, I could do 2 movements. If I'm here in Bogota, I could go to Lima and then go to Santiago, but that's 2 actions to do that. So you can do 2 of the same action. After you do 4 actions, you draw 2 cards. That's pretty simple, and that's from the player deck. You resolve any epidemics that you just drew. Then you discard down to 7 cards, and after that, the third thing, you infect cities. Gameplay, super easy. You just follow that, and you're good for the most part. You just have to manage your outbreaks and manage your diseases. So, but, well, that's all there is for that. So, gameplay, 2 thumbs up, board out, game on.